The United States is warning its allies in Europe and Asia that China has signaled an openness to providing economic and military support to Russia. The U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, as we were reporting yesterday, met with his Chinese counterpart in Rome and warned of significant consequences if China helps Moscow in its war on Ukraine. Patrick Falk is with us live from Beijing. And Patrick, we have today heard from China's foreign ministry on this morning. What is the response in China?
Yeah, well, Heather, there was reports have certainly suggested that there was a level of pessimism among the Americans following the talks that took place in Rome, despite both sides saying that the talks were candid and that it was good that both sides had kept communication lines open, even in these turbulent times. But it was said that the Americans felt that they really hadn't gotten the Chinese to change their position in any way. They hadn't managed to get Beijing or won it over in any way to try and use its influence over Moscow, nor had it managed to get Beijing to try and realign itself away from Beijing. Chinese state media today more or less reiterated what the Americans had been feeling, which was to say that despite U.S. pressure, they weren't able to make China take a stand. What was interesting was there was very little discussion about the reports that you just talked about a moment ago, with one official revealing to international media in particular that he said that that China had already decided to provide economic and financial support to Moscow. There's very little talk about that. But when asked whether or not China was concerned about possible sanctions, China's foreign ministry today urged the U.S. not to affect China's legitimate rights and also warned that international sanctions would affect the global economy, more or less reiterating or echoing what Foreign Minister Wang Yi had said to his Spanish counterpart a day ago, which was to say that China was not a party to this crisis and did not want to be affected by any such sanctions.
I've heard mixed views from American officials on this next question, so I'm interested, Patrick, in what the thinking is there. How likely is it that China will supply Russia with military support?
Well, one of the things that was said, or one of the U.S. officials that was quoted in international media was saying that, one of the ideas of having these negotiations was to get China to recalculate and reevaluate its position. Now, China may not want to openly say that it may have changed its position on any of these matters as a result of U.S. pressure, but certainly one would imagine that Beijing would still go away and weigh everything up. All the same, though, it seems highly unlikely that Beijing would want to draw itself into this conflict. As we've said just a moment ago, China's already said that it's not party to the crisis. It's unimaginable almost that it would want to draw itself into the crisis militarily, and it would obviously have to pay a penalty for that. There's also a question of logistics. Reports have suggested that the systems between the Russians and the Chinese are different. So in that sense, it doesn't seem as though it would necessarily be possible or feasible in the short term for that to be done anyway. And, the other thing that's interesting today was that, these sanctions that the US has been talking about, China did get a little bit of a taste of that with the massive sell-off in Chinese stocks today over concerns about Chinese companies being sanctioned.
Patrick, thank you very much. Patrick Falk live with us from Beijing.